Hi, everybody. Welcome to Small Steps, Big Life. My name is Nathan Aswell, and I am just squealing with delight today. Boy, have I got a juicy person to share with you. The whole point of this show is to share people that I think are living big lives and get them to talk about the small steps they've taken to get there. And wow, we have hit the jackpot today. It is my extreme pleasure to share with you a friend of mine, Jan Black, based in Salem, Oregon. But boy, she is more than nationwide. She is full of exciting things going on all the time. I've known Jan for about 2 years now. I had the good fortune of meeting Jan about 2 years ago. My partner Jana was living with Jan for a time, and so I got a chance to experience the magic and wonder and splendor of Jan up close and personal on many occasions. And I'm just super thrilled and delighted and excited and grateful to have her with us today. Welcome, Jan.
Wow. Thank you, Nathan. That was reciprocated. Man, the times you stayed here, it was just so fun to talk music and life and philosophy. And you're just so smart and intuitive. And I was blessed, as was Lou.
Wow. Thank you. I think back on those times fondly, and the times that I would hear you practicing your piano in the morning, and the conversations we'd have, and of course that incredible maternal instinct of yours that insisted on feeding us well, always.
I do love to feed.
Yes, you do, and boy, the magic you're one of those people that it's another one of your modes of creative expression, being in the kitchen. So
yeah, invent.
I was the very grateful recipient of that on many occasions.
Thanks. Thank you.
Okay, so let's tell people about you now. Where should we start, Jen? Because man, it's a heck of a ride. There's a lot to say. I love when you and I were speaking the other day. I wrote these two phrases down because I thought they were so perfect. That two phrases that are really important to you are following the next thing and letting yourself happen. I don't know of anybody who embodies that as beautifully as you do. And I'm saying that for the benefit of all those who are watching, because that's what you're going to experience over the next hour, I guarantee it. So where should we start? Where should we begin to tell people about you? For though I didn't mention this, Jan is based in Salem, Oregon. It's about an hour south of Portland. And yeah, where should we start, Jan?
How about we start with, since it's small steps,
yeah.
What if I sort of trace things small step to small step? Do you think that would be of value to the group?
Well, maybe why don't we say this? I mean, overall, writing is kind of one of your big identities, and coaching and branding and all that kind of stuff. But I guess the place I always ask people is, at some point there's something kind of pivotal that happened, a life experience that you had that kind of got you moving in the direction that you're now moving in or have been moving in for quite some time. So maybe that's a good place to start.
Well, maybe then start where we are and then backtrack.
Sure.
So I would definitely say that I'm a writer and an artist whose passion is for people to be who they are and build what excites them. And I think that's my passion because it's really what I want for myself. And I just feel that when we're doing that, everything in the world is better, right? I mean, when we are being ourselves and building what excites us, as people, we're on fire and everything seems possible. And when Nathan is being Nathan, Jan is benefited because I am seeing the truth, right? And truth frees us all. And so that has meant everything to me in my career. And small step to small step has led me here to where I am building so many things that excite the heck out of me. And I fell in love with what I call the darlings of what can be a few years ago. And I see all of you I'm at an age now where I can kind of scan the horizon and see anybody younger than me as the darling of what can be. And so I wake up creatively devoted to the darlings of what can be, so that I can bring them nurture and know-how and opportunity. And so that's what I create to now.
Beautiful.
I didn't have a dream to be that. And I find that encouraging somehow. I realized only in the last while that I didn't have a dream as a kid. I didn't dream to be, I loved music, I loved art, and I loved words, but I didn't have a dream. I didn't know I could. And so I think the encouraging news is it doesn't matter. That if you don't have a dream, but you say yes to what comes, you're guided. And I just kept saying yes. And my career has been full of turns, all related in some way to, I see what I define as core brilliance. My core brilliance is to see and articulate the truth of something. And then I see my talents, and we all have them, as a toolbox that, okay, how shall I articulate this? Maybe we write a song, maybe I write a book, maybe we create a motion graphic. But it's all, whatever the best way to articulate that thing is what I get to use. And of course, tap the amazing talent of people around me.
And I think about all the times that I've sat and talked with you. Oh, we're getting can you hear that delay? That's strange. We're both wearing earbuds and I still hear a delay. Well, I guess we'll just trust that it'll go away of its own accord somehow. That's the thing that I love about spending time with you, Jan, is that the way I would articulate it is you live in possibility. You're excited about possibility. And I've never met anybody who embodies that as fully as you do. It's just, yeah, let's do that. Yeah, let's do this. Hey, I'm really excited about this. Hey, I'm curious about that. Hey, you'll never guess what happened last week. It's just like always something fun and exciting, beginning or deepening, or it was lovely. So, yeah,
thanks. Well, and I have this, I think probably it drives people around me crazy, is that I see a seed of something, and then of course I scale it. I see what it can become internationally or planetarily. And then I have to pull back and say, small steps. And so that is kind of how I see the world. You know, I got my start as a writer when I was a kindergarten teacher, and the grades had a character curriculum. Now, I wasn't a degreed teacher, but this was in the day in private school where you didn't need a teaching degree. And so I was asked to teach kindergarten. And I said, sure. I had 3 kids, little babies, not babies, but they were in kindergarten and first grade and preschool. And I loved being a mom, and I loved the fun of painting on the table and all that stuff. So I said, sure. And loved kindergarten. And the grades had a character curriculum. The kindergarten didn't. And I thought, well, that isn't right. I can write a character curriculum. And so got somebody with me, and we wrote that character curriculum. My supervisor, actually, I roped her into it. And she and I wrote that kindergarten curriculum. And then we started giving wild and crazy workshops on it all around, and they were nuts, and they were packed house, and we would card all these visuals and everything. And anyway, a publisher witnessed that and then asked if I would write a K through 6 curriculum. I'd never written anything before, much less curriculum. And of course I said, sure. And so took 2 years and wrote this enormous scope and sequence, and found a way to introduce these character traits in a way that hadn't been done before. And so they went on to sell like over 1 million copies worldwide, translated into like 4 languages. And I found out I loved to write. I love projects. And then I found out along the way that, this character curriculum is for kids and it needs music. And so I thought, how hard can it be to write a song? Well, that was crazy, but I did it. I wrote and recorded 50 songs to go with this curriculum.
Wow.
And wrote melodramas and plays. And so it was my seed bed of everything that was to come.
Wow.
And I didn't even know it. And so my next small step was, wow, I love to write. So what else needs to be written? And I found out that domestic violence victims were only getting a one sheet when they went in crisis to say, get safe. No one was helping them to stay safe. So gathered a team and we created a book called It's Not Okay Anymore. A publisher saw that and said, would you write one on boundaries? So I got a therapist to join me on that because I'm not a therapist. And we wrote that, and off I went into a career as a writer of self-empowerment work. And gosh, then a crazy thing happened. And I started realizing that I had this knack. Only realized it because people came to me saying, Jan, what do you think I should do with my life? And I thought, why in the world are they asking me? And I paid attention to it because I noticed that I could help them. And it was like I had this way of seeing inside them to what I call their core brilliance. And so in the meantime, there were other projects, and there was a very dark time where it felt like I was going to fall into a deep hole. A huge project had just gone under, lost my shirt, and it was tough. And because of someone I met in Washington, D.C., an incredible woman high up in government, within no time, I had 12 clients back east to do core brilliance with. And I'd fly back there every 6 weeks to meet with them. And thus began a branding career based on core brilliance, where I help people turn who they are into what they earn. So again, a small step, an encounter, an opportunity, say yes, and see what happens. And so one thing led to another. I got a job, a writing job with the CDC for an at-risk mom curriculum. While I'm sitting there thinking about what it's like to be responsible, wham, comes the idea for Ludicuse. Ludicuse stand for ludicrous questions. And I was asking myself, wow, I was remembering being a young mom and having to pick and choose what people were asking. And I thought it'd be so much easier if you knew what was really being asked. And I thought of a couple funny ones. And then all of a sudden, a torrent of 24 questions came screaming at me in that wonderful zone of creativity, you know, where that you just can't stop it. And questions like, may I control you? May I hurt you and blame you for it? May I make your schedule intolerable so I can meet my deadline? Just these 24 questions that I then named Ludicuse, and they've taught me so much. Of course, I recognized a lot of them in my own life because I asked them and said yes to them, but they're not asked out loud. They're asked with behaviors, and we don't answer out loud. We answer with behavior, and Ludicuse have been transforming for me. And that was back in 2007, and they've been waiting for me all these years to finally let them come forward and be marketed seriously as a clarity hack. And that's one of the main things I'm doing right now. So Ludicuse, branding, other projects along the way. It's just been rich, beautiful work with people around the country. And then one day at the sink, am I blabbing too long? This is truly blabbing. Here I go.
No, it's
Please interrupt me.
No, I love the way that you are. I'm hearing my voice again, so I'm distracted. Sorry. I just love the way that you are talking so clearly about one thing to another, and you're just following your passion and saying yes. I think it's beautiful. I could listen to you talk all day. Please continue.
Okay, well, I'm almost done. So one day a few years ago, I'm at maybe 5 years now. Wow. I'm at the kitchen sink washing dishes, and the message came to me in the way that we each get our messages. Can't really explain it, but it became clear. The arts, Jan, are your Atlantis, and it's time to raise us up. Now, I had, as I said, written music, and I love art and poetry. I had written poetry when I was a younger adult, and when the grandkids came, had set it mostly aside, and I recognized that as truth. Mm-hmm. And so two things happened. I got invited by Janice Stanfield, who had become a dear friend through a project we did, to go to Turkey with musicians. And so I said yes. And my grandson Riley, who had taught himself guitar and was a budding singer, she had invited him to go, and he was going to go. And so I said, yes, I'll go. And that was a transforming event. Then I went to an Institute of Noetic Sciences conference. It's the only one, I didn't know anybody there, but it was down in Palm Springs, sat in the back, and the very first person on the stage was a beautiful young Philadelphia rapper named Jay Ivey. And he gave a spoken word performance that absolutely changed my life. Not in so much what the poem was, but in his presentation of it, because he was mirroring for me the spoken word artist that I've never become. And I sobbed. I don't cry easily. I sobbed. And afterwards, I got to meet him. It's like we knew each other without knowing each other. He swept me up like I was his grandma. And for 2 days, I just got to be lit by this amazing young man who had helped me see myself. And that drove me then to incorporate. I knew my marching orders were to bring poetry and music and art more directly into my work. And one way I did that was to start writing manifestos, which, by the way, you have one.
I sure do.
And I have it here.
Oh.
May I read
yes,
your manifesto?
Sure. Yeah.
Because Small Steps, Big Life came right out of that, right?
So let's talk a little bit. Talk a little bit. I'm so glad we're talking about manifestos, because just for those watching and listening, my experience with Jan of the Manifestos is I've been in a mastermind group with 6 other people that Janice Stanfield started in August of 2013. Amazing to me. It's been over 2.5 years. At one point, Jan was kind enough to gift us all with sessions to help us develop our manifestos. And it was just very powerful as a way for us to all get clear about who we are and what we want to offer in the world. And so, yeah, Jan, go.
Okay, here we go. Nathan's manifesto. I say yes to mastery like ears say yes to music and hearts say yes to love. I am a student and servant of mastery, a gobsmacked champion of its bold audacity, passionate eccentricity, and endless generosity. Mastery has me in its grip, on its hip, dripping with sweat in an unreasonable pursuit of preparedness that promises to deliver what a moment requires of me in service to another, authentically with ease and delight. What connections will we make if I master vulnerability? What heavens will open for us if I master musical performance? What miracles will we see if I master faith without floors? What grit will we grow as we master mastery together? I love what mastery knows, where it goes, and how it shows me who I am. I love how it feels when a flash of perfection passes through me, aware it will undo me if I make it about me and not us. Mastery teaches me to persist like the masters who blow me away with a seemingly effortless performance that is only possible through a lifestyle of perfecting. It trains me to pour my heart and soul into what I am mastering, then showers me with fulfillment, so I want to pour more. Mastery is rain to my brain, joy to my heart, and key to my art. It is the sacred glue that bonds me to you, connects me to confidence, and transports me to bliss. Like Sting says yes to song, and Fallon says yes to fun, I, Nathan Aswell, say yes to mastery. And that is you.
Well, thank you for reading that. I will remember the creation of that, and just to tell people what that was like. Basically, I'm sitting and, well, I think the invitation was to write thoughts and then to just share them with you. And as I was sharing them with Jan, she was taking notes. And what you just heard is a combination of my thoughts and Jan's poetry and creativity combined. And I remember when she first read that to me, I was like, so thank you for sharing that.
It was a fun moment. I love writing manifestos.
Yeah.
They are just such an extension and joy of that moment with Jay Ivey. And so started writing manifestos, bringing my art more into things. And then here's a recent little step that became a huge, big moment. I had dreamed for decades, I have dreamed of being able to animate or have a relationship with an animator. I love animation. It's just so amazing. And just the whole motion graphics. And I don't have that talent. And I've always believed that when I'm about 80, I'm going to learn to animate and just spend the rest of my life quietly in a little cave animating. My idea. And so along came Laura Pena from New York City. Her studio is jellomonsters.com. And Laura is this young darling, mega talented, originally from the Dominican Republic. And as so often happens, these opportunities come through others, right? And she was introduced to me. We both went to Good Life Project Camp last summer. Wonderful community for anyone who doesn't know it, to be part of the Good Life Project. And there's a camp every August, international. Anyway, Laura was there. Laura and I, so now suddenly I'm an animator. Not because I animate, but because Laura animates. And so we are starting to do projects together, not just our own, but for other people, and putting content in motion. And oh my gosh, I am just over the moon with this development. And what it confirms for me is that when we feel strongly, a strong desire or an idea that seems like it's meant to be, it is. And it will come back in a form when you don't even expect it. And so that is one recent small step. Hello, Laura, I say, and then my world is upside down with this person whose heart is right in line with mine, and whose vision for bringing good to the world. And anyway, godsend. The other fun thing is that I have 10 grandchildren, and they're all spectacular. And one of them is Riley, who's Silicon Valley trained entrepreneur, who's doing his education through experience, and just this incredible entrepreneurial mind. So we've started the U+2 project, which is like your own private think tank in 30-minute streams. So we've been doing U+2 with people and talking about their business and brand and all of that. So that brings us up to today. And so the Black brand is all about forming content with a specialty in building your signature offering. And so we do that ourselves, and we take a few clients at a time and build their thing with them. Well, I just, as I was saying in my monthly newsletter that I just put out a few days ago, I'm a huge
Abraham Hicks junkie. And I'm just fed so much by that teaching. And for me, Jan, you just completely embody that. Specifically, there was a phrase in one of the videos that I watched last week, which has just really struck me quite deeply. And that is the power of this phrase, I decide to set my own tone, and so realizing that a lot of us, myself included completely, have lived many years, and probably still, in my case, and many people who are listening, expecting something outside to come, to change, to have us move in the right direction, as opposed to any one of us saying, well, no, this is what I want, and just actively choosing that. And so when I listen to you speak, the combination of, I don't hear someone who's kind of being blown around in the wind. There are many different things that excite you, and yet there's a very strong core gift that you're offering and that you want to offer that just continues to find new ways to manifest itself through other people, and you just being open to the people that cross your path. And that's what's so wonderful to listen to it, is it's so freeing and empowering, and yet so clear and so solid and so consistent as well. It's this wonderful combination of both of those qualities, which is just, that's why it's so much fun to be with you, because I feel that so completely in every exchange that I have with you. So on behalf of everyone listening now and whoever will listen, I just thank you for embodying that so beautifully, so completely. It's completely inspiring.
Thank you. Well, I'll tell you, I have this incredible set of family and friends and colleagues and collaborators that I go to when I forget, and I do forget. And that's invaluable. The other thing I would say is I think that knowing my core brilliance as an articulator, one who sees and articulates, that is like this, let's picture a tether ball and pole, right? When we know what that is, then nothing, and keep it in mind, then whatever, it gives us a 360 opportunity. In other words, there are so many things to see and articulate, and as long as that's my role, I'm good. And that's why even when you don't know what field, or you've been kicked out of one field and looking for a job in another field, once you know your core brilliance, you can say, oh, okay, let's see, HR. Okay, Jan, you're going to work in HR for a while. All right, what can I see and articulate in HR? And knowing that always keeps you, it may look on the outside like I'm doing 62 different things, right, but what I know is they're all tethered to that pole. Yeah. And that when I show up, what I'm there to do is to see and articulate the truth of something. That something may change, but and and so, for example, the craziest thing happened a couple of weeks ago. I painted a picture of our neighbor's motorcycle and had it framed for his birthday. Now, had I ever painted a motorcycle before? Of course not. No, but I thought, okay, I'm going to give it a whirl. I have a new iPad Pro and my pencil, and I'm going crazy with it. And so I paint this motorcycle for Chris. Well, Chris loves it, and he shows it to a fellow motorcycle enthusiast who happens to be connected all around the motorcycle world. He calls and commissions me to paint one for his son and him. And then he's wanting to meet Wednesday night because he's talking, anyway, all sorts of craziness of me becoming a motorcycle artist and putting it out there on t-shirts and mugs and all that stuff. And so what in the world, if we were listing, Nathan, things that I might become, motorcycle artists would never be there. It just wouldn't be there. And yet it's so fun. And a person may say, yeah, but if you go off and do that, then what about Ludicuse? Well, it's a matter of managing, right? It's a matter of managing, and you'll notice that more and more I'm bringing other people like Laura and Riley, and we've got this awesome event planned in September called Your Signature Offering Design Intensive, and we're inviting 12 people to apply to join Greg Faxon, who's down in West Virginia on a huge ranch in farm on the Shenandoah River. And we're going to do Your Signature Offering Intensive that's really front-loaded with a lot of one-on-one time with Greg and I. And so that is one way that I'm able to keep plates spinning, is that I have partners. And so in the motorcycle art, I realize I can do the art and Frank can do all the merchandising and marketing. I mean, even if it even goes anywhere, I don't know where it will go, but it's fun to explore. And the same with Riley, the think tank. Yeah, I love to be on the phone and talk to people, but it's way more fun when you've got a young millennial with this fresh mind in on it. So I love collaborating, and that helps manage time.
Right. And I'm happy to hear you say that, because as I mentioned in our call the other day, every time I'm doing interviews, I'm thinking about the 4 steps that I talk about in my talk, small steps, big life. And so that's one of my 4 questions is, or one of the points is asking for help. And you've just modeled that so clearly, that so much of what you do when you forget, and also, several projects that just wouldn't come to fruition unless there were other people playing key parts in whatever experiences manifest in your life.
That's why it's so important, isn't it, to be part of a community and to have mastermind group and vision partners. I've had the same vision group, and Jana's a part of that for about 10 years now, and others that I've met at events that have become sounding boards for me, and then family and friends. So, man, it's essential.
Yeah. The third thing that I like to talk about is the power of persistence or sticking with something. And I mean, it's funny, I very rarely have to kind of say much about that point, because everyone that I speak to, I think it's the passion, and in your case, core brilliance, being clear on what that is what allows you to persist. Because your vision is clear, you always know where you are, regardless of how it's manifesting, which is powerful.
Yeah, and what it lets you do, what core brilliance lets you do, is go to sleep at night and know you fulfilled your purpose. I mean, that's worth so much. Yeah. To just say, here's why I'm here, and now how do I want to express it at this time and within the budget and all the criteria and parameters. Yeah. So it is it's really helpful. Yeah.
So let's go here, and I think this will be interesting. We haven't really gone here very much, and I think this will be really informative for everybody. And that is the 4th thing that I like to talk about is gratitude for the whole process. Meaning, there are moments where we fall down, we trip, and at the time they look like steps sideways or even backwards, and yet the gift of them over a longer period of time is we see them as real gifts that enable us ultimately to move forward in a much richer way than we would have been able to had they not happened. I would love to hear you talk about, because I see everything that you do as being successful and just moving forward in interesting and exciting ways. And I know that that's not, none of us live in that all the time. So I would be curious to hear, about some of the setbacks, initial setbacks, which ended up being gifts longer term.
Initial and ongoing. Grace has been so good to me. So gracious for my failings, for my missteps, for my ignorance. And I have shown up and sometimes did it in a way that prompted success, and often blew it. And I look back and say, "Phew, how could I have been so stupid?" And then I say, don't use that word about yourself. You did the best you could at the time. But it's just the truth. And I love and am encouraged by all those successful people that say the failures were the gift. And I would have to say that's true. When I say I lost my shirt back in that program, it was an educational program for women that made history. Nothing had been ever done before or since like it. And we put on a spectacular product, and when it all came down, we had trusted the wrong people, and we went bankrupt. And that was horrible. It's horrible. It was indescribable. And then there have been other projects that have gotten off the ground, but weren't a raging success because I moved to the next thing, which is always the problem with the highly creative person, is that we love to move to the next thing. So yes, I've had success, and I know what the dark place is. I know what the dark place is about health. I had mystery illnesses all my adult life. What in the heck is this? And it turns out that I'm celiac. And so I would have dips in my ability to function for a time, which caused me, I remember times when I couldn't take clients on because I couldn't promise to be consistent. And so one of the big accomplishments of my life that I can't even believe I had the will to do, but I was so sick, is that I got off all gluten and grains and no potatoes, no corn, none of that. And it changed my health. And I'm religious about that. And now age, I'm getting up there, and to manage the losses of that and yet compensate for it and not see it as a loss, but okay, so that might not be possible, but what is possible? Because I believe with all my heart that when we stop building, we stop being. And I don't mean breathing, but we stop being relevant to ourselves. When we lose relevance, we become invisible. And there are so many ways to remain relevant regardless of our circumstances. So many ways to use our core brilliance. Our core brilliance is given to us to love the world. I believe it is what brings us immense pleasure and satisfaction, and is immensely helpful to others. That's why we're given this core brilliance. And I believe all our talent and personality and experience is to support that core brilliance. So do I know failure? Oh my gosh. Can I tell you about a vision I had that helped? I believe the Divine One is so good about meeting us in the way we're created. And I have a big imagination. And I love my imagination. And I love vision and seeing things. And so I'm often given visions to see what I need, either to heal or to create. And I remember a Saturday morning early, when I was feeling in despair for all that I had done wrong in my life. And I was feeling so regretful. And those regrets, that feeling of darkness, just so regretful. And I felt like overwhelmed, like it might swallow me up. And so I asked for help. And here's what came. I saw a bulldozer come up next to me. And I was instructed, and it was in that day, I was instructed, we're going to go back through your life and pick up all the crap, all the things that you regret or feel bad about. And that's what we did, from thing to thing to thing to thing, until we got back to my birth. And so there was this dump truck just full of my regrets and what I considered my mistakes, my ignorance, my stupidity, my selfishness, all the awful words, that we can put to that. And there was relief in knowing the dump truck was going to get rid and dump over the cliff all those regrets. And then I was taken, so to speak, to a theater, like a Broadway theater. And there were red velvet curtains across the stage, and I was standing at the back of the middle aisle. And the curtain opened, and there on the stage were all the people that I had either hurt or that had made life difficult for me.
Wow.
There they were in front of me. And I felt this rush of understanding for the gift they and those circumstances had been to me. And I was flooded like a waterfall with gratitude for them, for that hard thing they agreed to do. And that changed me and the way I look at my missteps. I've come to believe it all works out. And that letting grace love us and being gracious to ourselves as a result. If grace can be gracious to me, who am I not to be gracious to me and to everybody else?
Wow. That is the best answer I've ever heard to that question. Thank you. Thank you for being so...
I go back to that room, that theater, often. When I run into a snag, I go, oh, it's the gift.
Right.
It's the gift.
Yeah. Wow, Jen. Thank you. What's next? Where are you going, Brilliant One? I mean, okay, so you talked about animation, and I know that that's fun and exciting.
Yeah. Oh, it is. It's going to be so cool. So we get to put content in motion, all sorts of content, books. Well, I have some very exciting clients we're doing right now. Steve Johnson is a client from Annapolis, Maryland, a brilliant social architect who's written a book, Getting America Unstuck. And so we get to edit and design and create graphics and website and motion graphics for him. Another client, as I said, we take only a few at a time, is Ben Krause, who I had the joy several years ago of building his brand and signature offering, the vision for it, and naming all of the parts. And he has lived that out. Ben Krause has had so much impact on veterans, disabled veterans. He's responsible for some of the improvements in the VA. He's been called on to come to Capitol Hill. He's been nominated for Peabody Award. I mean, he's just this magnificent advocate and new attorney. And so anyway, he had written 4 books, and now it's time to update those. And we're going to create 4 more with him and do a motion graphic series for him. And so that those are 2. And then Greg Faxon, who I'm teaching the Core Brilliance. He's just this amazing young 23-year-old champion maker down in West Virginia. And he's my protege in Core Brilliance because I want to teach people how to do Core Brilliance so that it'll go on beyond me. And so I've been teaching Greg how to use that and then build brands out So he and I are going to offer this design intensive. And one thing I want to do is have more group builds. I love the group experience. And I'm thinking also of what courses I can create so that more people can know their core brilliance, but that it won't be as taxing on my time as the one-on-one work. And then we've got the Ludicues are front and center. Right now, the campaign is to get professionals to use them. There are many therapists and counselors that are using Ludicues in their practice and loving them. And so Ludicues for individuals and pros, and then moving to families through the Courage Vibe. My daughter Jody and her family have the Courage Vibe, and please go there, thecouragevibe.com. They're doing such amazing things with families. And so we're going to create a Ludicues campaign with them, also one for abuse and also dating, and one for salespeople. So Ludicues their time has come. They've waited patiently. What I asked Ludicues, the ludicrous question I asked them is, will you market yourself? And they said no. So their time has come, and now I'm going to be out teaching and speaking on Ludicues and doing Ludi Labs. So I encourage people to check that out. And then U+2 with Riley. So that's what we're doing.
Wow. Okay, so a whole lot of websites that I want people to connect with. I've been taking notes, so tell me if I've left anything out. Of course, we'll start with your website, which is theblackbrand.com. Second is Ludicues, LUDIQS.com.
Yep.
Your project with Riley, U+2project.com. That's YOUPLUSTWO. Laura's animation site is jellomonsters.com. You mentioned the Good Life Project.
Yes, that's through Jonathan Fields.
Right.
The Good Life Project and the camp. He has a camp and about 350 people from around the world, creatives of all kinds, entrepreneurs show up, and the community of people is the best. It's so great.
And do you know what the website is for the Good Life Project? That's okay.
Gosh, I would just Google Good Life Project.
I'll find it.
Camp. Another great community is World Domination Summit, which sounds like what? World Domination Summit is about 3,000 creatives from around the world show up in Portland every summer, and many of the Good Life Camp people are from there too. But that's another community that I'm involved in.
Okay.
I'm also putting a TED Talk together with Sonna Stevens, SONESS, Stevens, STEVENS. She has a course in beta because I want to be on TED stages with Ludicues.
And the Courage Vibe.
Thecouragevibe.com, VIBE, thecouragevibe.com. And their What If campaign right now is sensational.
Okay. Are there any other sites I need to tell people about?
Let's see. RileyTemple.com.
Okay, hang on. Got to get Riley on there. RILEY, right?
LEY, temple.com. Greg Faxon, FAXON.com. I think that's it.
Okay. Well, that's plenty. Thank you. Do you recognize the names of any of these folks who are part of our conversation over on the right-hand side?
See.
Anybody?
Well, Meryl, of course.
Yeah, Meryl is.
And I think Laura's on. I think I saw Laura.
Yeah, I saw her name. Laura, are you here? Laura, if you are here, it would be wonderful if you came, if you just clicked on call in, and we could invite you into the conversation and talk a little bit about your connection with Jan.
Fun.
If that appeals to you, we would welcome you. Anybody else there, Jan, that you can see?
No, I don't see anyone else. Let's see. My husband, Lou, looks like he's on. He was wondering if he was going to be able to get on. Lou and I have known each other since I was a sophomore in high school. Yeah. Right.
Okay, so I guess Laura isn't, maybe she's no longer with us, or... or doesn't want to come in or whatever. Okay, that's fine. What haven't we said, Jan? What remains to be said and shared?
I have something I read a while back. Or actually, I heard it on a video that astounded me. Mm-hmm. And I guess I'm inspired to offer it. It's a vow that a mom just spoke. She it wasn't like official, but maybe she has written it. I don't know. But it was to her child who, and it was this: who you are, I respect. Where you're going, I'll go with you. And I'll make sure that the world moves out of your way so you can be you. Mm. And the child's name is Penelope. And I believe Penelope is a boy that identifies as a girl. I hope I've got that part right. Who you are, I respect. Where you're going, I'll go with you. And I'll make sure that the world moves out of your way so you can be you. There's some, isn't that gorgeous? Mm-hmm. So I feel complete. If you have any questions, or anybody does, I'm happy to answer.
Well, I just want to say that just in reference to what you just said, I mean, from what I know of you, I can see why it is so powerful for you, because I see you living that. And that's what's so powerful about what you offer, is you really do that, in my experience, or make people feel that way, that the world.
That's how I feel about the darlings. I guess you're right. I guess it mirrors my commitment to the darlings.
Tell people about that, because I really want people to understand that. I remember that I needed to hear you say that phrase a few times when I first knew you to really kind of get it. So just talk about the darlings, that whole idea. Tell people more about what that means.
The darlings of what can be are those people who aspire to be who they are and build what excites them. And because I know what that involves, I want to be one who steps alongside them and do whatever I can to offer nurture and know-how, clarity. And so that's who I create for. It isn't about age. It's about spirit and aspiration. The Wizards of Wonder. I have all these names for you guys that it's like I'm having the secret crush on all of you who are doing that. And so many mornings I wake up and say, what shall I create for them today? And what's funny too is that I'll start wondering, I'll take on a project and I go, ooh, wait, is this in line with darlings? And I go, of course. It's teaching the darlings how to know how to read unspoken ludicrous questions would completely mess this up. Or yes, it's helping the darlings who are veterans know how to navigate the system. So I put everything through that lens because it's all for the darlings. I'm giving it all up for the darlings of what can be. Oh, I forgot about another client that's so exciting, and that's Layla Centurino. Mm-hmm. We're just doing her site, and we've named her the Womb Whisperer.
Wow.
Isn't that something? And the reason I just thought of her is that she feels a call from the future children to prepare the parents.
Wow.
And so the question we've asked is, let's say, this would be to baby makers, let's say you could seed and parent awakened beings maybe even your ancestors, who are waiting to come to save humanity. Would you do it? And so she is doing conscious baby making with people, preparing them to be parents and to, anyway, fascinating. I work with fascinating people.
Mm-hmm.
And Layla is certainly one of those.
Do you know what her website is?
Well, that's what we're building.
Okay.
That's what we're building.
Okay. All right. We'll trust that. Well, who knows? Geez, maybe I'll even have her as a guest on a future show.
Yes. Oh, she would be a fantastic guest.
Yeah.
All of these people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm constantly on the lookout for people, Jen. So, and for anybody listening, I'm constantly on the lookout for people that I would hope would come and share, their small steps, because we're all taking them, and we all get encouraged when we hear other people sharing theirs. So
That's true.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Jan, I can't thank you enough. I am blessed.
Thank you, Nathan.
I am blessed beyond measure to have you in my life, and I just, every time I'm with you, I feel good and warm and happy and hopeful and excited. And
me too, with you.
Thank you.
And it means the world. I felt so comfortable because you always make me feel like I can completely be myself. So thanks for that.
Oh, my great pleasure. My great pleasure. And I was going to say that I think if I were to say it in one sentence, the clarity of your core brilliance and the passion with which you are committed to that makes you ageless. You are ageless. I have a sense that, no matter where I would have seen you at any point in your life, you would have had this energy. You are ageless, timeless, youthful, vital. It's just, I've never felt that as much with anyone as I feel with you. So thank you.
Well, thanks. That. I don't know if it's true. It would have always felt that way because it's been a journey, but I do feel young.
Yeah. Yeah. So, all I have to say, when I think of you and Riley together, I see you as head to head. I don't at all see Riley, whatever. So
cool.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. And thank you, everyone who has stayed with this. I really appreciate it.
Yes. Thank you all who have been watching this in real time. And for those of you watching the replay, I hope that you enjoy it too. I've been speaking to Jan Black. Jan is based in Salem, Oregon, but boy, her influence is, never mind nationwide, it's global. And I have a whole swack of websites to share with you, and I will do that on the replay. What I will do shortly is I will post this, the replay on YouTube, and all of the links to all of the sites that Jan mentioned will be included. And Jan's, of course, will be at the top for those of you who would like to connect with her and work with her.
Yeah, I'd love to have people connect. I love that. Love it.
Yeah. Blessings to you, Jan.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Me too. Thank you.
You stay there. I'm just going to sign out to everybody else, but you stay right there.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone. Love and blessings to you all.